it will feel like my heart is about to explode. It's beating so fast. And it will feel like somebody is pushing on my lungs. Like, got their hands down on my chest, pushing down. Because as I breathe out, it feels like I can't get air in. And I am breathing, but it feels like I can't breathe. And then once my head registers this, like once I become aware, like, oh no, my heart feels like it's going to explode and I can't breathe, that is when the adrenaline starts to pump. And that is like the end. Once the adrenaline starts going, the fear takes hold, and you can start to believe irrational things. Like it becomes much harder to suppress the panic attack. First time I ever experienced like real panic attacks, I think I was like 18 or 19, and I was alone. I was in my basement by myself, and I actually went unconscious the first two times I went through a panic attack because I really thought I couldn't breathe, and because of that, I started hyperventilating, started getting less air, and really did go out. So that is a possibility. But I was at the doctor once when it happened, and I had gotten pretty good at suppressing panic attacks by this point. And but I had the racing. It felt like my heartbeat was way too fast, like my heart was going to explode, and it felt like I couldn't breathe. And they got the thing on my finger to check my heart rate and my oxygen levels, and they're doing my blood pressure. And they're like, yeah, there's. I'm not telling them I'm having a panic attack. Obviously, I'm just letting them do what they're gonna do. And they're like, yeah, there's. I'm like, what's my pulse? What's all this? And they're like, there's nothing remarkable about any of it. Now, I work out a lot. I work out 5 to 6 days a week. Go running twice a week. Um, I'm in pretty good health. I eat pretty well. Take vitamins. Um, you know, I can run a marathon. So like I'm in pretty good physical condition. Also, I used to weigh like 320 pounds, and now I weigh like 180. So my skin is all fucked up and hangs and all kinds of shit because I never got the surgery to fix all that shit. But anyway, the doctors were like, yeah, there's nothing. Where so there's nothing with your heartbeat. There's nothing with your pulse that's outrageous that would lead us to believe your heart's going to explode. So at this point, I'm like, this is all in your mind. Like probably because of trauma experienced as a child. Like it's pretty severe stuff. I hate the way psychiatric terms have been adopted by everyone, and everything is abuse, and it takes away the gravity from what it really is. And don't get me wrong, abuse and trauma can take all different forms, and it is something that scales to someone's life. But and that's why like comparing trauma and stuff like that is always a terrible idea. It's practically useless as far as like what somebody's problems are. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what I figured out is it's all in my mind. Now, I will say there is a strong correlation I've noticed between smoking marijuana 20 to 40 minutes before and having panic attacks. I started writing down everything I did to uncover what was the cause of the panic attacks, what all my major thought patterns were at that time, and what I was doing. And I noticed most of the panic attacks that happened for a month were relatively soon after I smoked grass. But short term memory goes when you smoke grass, you're not really thinking about things. So I never really noticed it. And I smoke grass every day pretty much. Uh, and so I have a theory that the grass, what it's doing is it's causing stomach acid to form. Now, I don't know any of this. I'm not a doctor, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But the stomach acid starts to form after you smoke, which is generally what is called the munchies, a term I would never use, but in this case I have to. But it causes people to eat more. That's where I believe that is where the hunger is coming from. Now, that acid can create gas. That gas will start to put pressure on your lungs and on your heart, which will make you feel like your heartbeat is racing and like someone is pushing down on your chest. Uh, I theorize this, but then once the adrenaline starts to go, it's that's like fear, and fear can become deeply irrational and hard to control. So when I now start experiencing panic attacks, I tell myself, like, we've been through this 1,000 times. Every single time you have been wrong about this. We've gone through this literally thousands of times, and every single one of them you were wrong. It's not like you were right one time out of 1,000. Every time you have misread this, you cannot trust yourself. You're fine. Keep breathing, and everything will be okay. So far, that's seen me through, but that line of thought has helped suppress panic attacks because I know I am always wrong. I have all this evidence that this has happened so many times, but there's always that, well, this time it's real. This time there's something really wrong with your heart. And it's like, ooh, that's difficult to suppress, but every time. One time I was walking to work and I had just been doing hard sets of pull-ups, and my chest is uncomfortable, and I'm like, you haven't. And now, mind you, I wear like a 30-pound backpack when I walk too, and I walk everywhere. So I'm walking through the park to work, and I'm like, they're having a heart attack, and I'm like, but weren't you just doing pull-ups? Like, yeah. The other side of your chest, does it feel the same? Yes. You're having a double heart attack. Now that's the fear talking, right? Because it's just telling me something's wrong. It was an immediate response. Now, obviously, you don't have two hearts, but the fear is just looking for something to be wrong. And I'm like, you don't have two hearts, you dummy. But that is how irrational fear can be. It can make things seem possible and even plausible that are completely impossible. Fear is very untrustworthy, but it is also very natural. And a weird thing with me, I never have panic attacks when things are going on, like when there's real dangerous stuff happening, and like, you get real adrenaline from like a real situation, because I always feel like I'm cracking up. I can't take it anymore. I'm not going to be able to deal with stress. And then something will happen and I'll deal with it fine, better than everyone else usually. And that's really weird to me. Now I don't know if it's because I'm so concerned with like saving face and not looking lame and stuff that like I force myself to do this, and then when I'm home alone and completely safe, like I will experience terrifying panic. Like, like I have to hide. Like if there was anywhere I could hide, if there was anyone I could call, like please help me. I used to have this joke that I'm just gonna pick up the phone and start dialing random numbers into it and just beg whoever answers for help. And then they're like, "What kind of help do you need?" Like, I need help with the kind of help I need. But that was years ago, before I had gotten a better handle on this and gotten the ability to even suppress the panic attacks. They used to just run wild on my ass. And it, like, I used to, what I would do is I'd go outside, because I almost always live alone unless I'm living with a girl. I'm living by myself. And so I would go outside. So if I really did die, like, or like fall unconscious from like a heart attack or something, at least I would be outside and somebody would probably call an ambulance. But the point is, other than the first two times, I never went unconscious because I kept breathing and I knew to keep breathing. But I am convinced these things are all in my mind, manifestations of past trauma, and manifestations of me doing things I know I shouldn't be doing, like the e-cigarette as an example. I know I shouldn't be still using the e-cigarette, but I do. And my head is, you know, this is a manifestation of that because I'm very uncomfortable about it. I know I'm killing myself. it is not the sole cause of panic attacks, but because I'm doing that and I know I shouldn't be doing that, it makes panic attacks infinitely more likely. Um, I would say it's like 50% of the reasons right now why I experience most panic attacks. Outside of marijuana, the only time I get panic attacks is when I'm like asleep. I wake up and I snap awake and my heart's racing and it feels like I'm gonna die. It feels like terrible things are happening all around me. It's pretty dark. I have to take a medication so I can't dream. Uh, but um, it's one of the only medications I take. But dreams are always nightmares, and they're always me being tortured and killed in various ways. And frankly, I just rather not deal with that stuff. But over the time, I have learned to suppress the panic, and it's an effective. It's but to an extent, you do kind of have to know about yourself and know why you feel the way you do. And a lot of people don't have that kind of self reflection or self awareness. But I would say for most people experiencing panic attacks, certainly watch out for the marijuana thing. I have found taking Tums will help quell the acid and can help prevent panic attacks or their their lasting effect. If as long as it doesn't get to the adrenaline stage, uh, it is relatively easy to suppress. Now, sometimes that adrenaline stage can come on in like 1 or 2 seconds, like it all happens really, really fast. And in that case, like once I'm like shaking and stuff, and like I feel like my life is on the line, even though it isn't. Like that's becomes much more difficult to control. I have managed to control it in modern times, but even 2 years ago, I couldn't have done that. But the assurity that I've been through this thousands of times, and every time I'm wrong, uh, like that's difficult to get over. So I believe that is all. See you around.